Hey everyone, it's Johnny, your independent Scentsy consultant. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to have another fragrance feedback, and this is the Scentsy empties that I went through in this past week. Like I mentioned in the other video, I went through a ton of wax. I don't know what it was, but basically I just had an insatiable craze to switch out my wax a bunch of times. So there are a few bars. There's a couple of fragrance flowers that we'll go through really quick. And then I have a bunch of testers from our fall-winter catalog this current season that I decided to go through and kind of see what the general scents are. Now, in terms of longevity or overall performance, your mileage kind of varies with a tester because it's a very small amount of wax. And it won't necessarily give you a full, accurate representation of the scent throw or longevity, but it will give you a general idea of what the scent will smell like when it's warmed. So take these for a grain of salt in that sense, because having a full bar or multiple cubes of a scent versus a little tester may change the overall performance and longevity. That being said, we're going to dive right in, and we're going to start right with our two fragrance flowers, which were in Christmas Cottage and Very Snowy Spruce. And as you can tell, I have double flowers, and you're probably like, wait a minute, my fragrance flower does not come with two. What's the deal? So our fragrance flowers, I did a video on that, are basically solo wood flowers. So they're a reed-based diffuser with a kind of cotton wick that wicks through the solo wood or tapioca plant-based wood fiber flower and diffuses the scent. You can purchase additional solo wood flowers from third parties that are non-Scentsy and put them into your fragrance flowers, but keep in mind that any alteration, including coloring your fragrance flower, will void the warranty, and the duration sometimes may vary. So I find that to get a better scent throw using two of the flowers in one will give you a stronger scent throw if you're looking for something a little bit more powerful, and that is a personal preference, but the downside of that is because you have two flowers in one little vat of oil, you will go through your oil duration at twice the rate that you would normally. So keep that in mind if you end up deciding to be creative and making your own little floral bouquet like this, that they will go through the oils a lot faster. That said, Christmas Cottage, it smells like a craft store to me. Like, I am not a big fan of the scent, but then again, going to Michael's and smelling it is enough for me. I don't need to have my house or some part of my house smell like it, but it's a pretty decent performer. And then Very Snowy Spruce, oh man, performs really well, at least for me. It was quite strong, actually. It was almost like its own like mini warmer, especially with two flowers in here. Oh man. But I like Very Snowy Spruce because it's not like a traditional just pine or biting like fir sort of smell. It's like cedar and balsam and something else that I can't ever remember. And it just smells really nice. So that is one of my preferred Christmas tree or green scents that we carry at Scentsy. So I really enjoyed this one. Wasn't a fan of this one, but it does work quite well. So holiday fragrance flowers get seal of approval from Johnny. All right, let's dive into the wax bars first, and then we'll dive into all the little testers, and I'll kind of speed through them. So I got through a bar of Jeweled Pomegranate. This is the November scent of the month this year. And I love this scent. It's like jeweled pomegranate, and like there's a mandarin, tangerine sort of note in there, like a citrus. And then there's like a soft, like green tree or woody note that comes out through this in the background. Like it's not particularly in the scent note specifically, but I think it's like the red berry note that kind of gives me like a holly and berries sort of vibe or something, or green tree note in the background. I love it. It lasts all day for me. I know some people have mentioned it's not quite like a powerhouse fragrance, which I don't mind because I tend to find that a lot of holiday scents can get overwhelmingly strong because cinnamon or tree scents tend to be particularly like in your face. So This was actually really refreshing to have like a more medium strength scent that I really enjoyed. So this is in my club. It's going to stay there. Definitely one of my top picks for holiday scents from Scentsy currently. You should try it. All right, next we have a Bring Back My Bar in Route 66. I love this. It's kind of like a fresh men's body wash slash if Rustic Lodge had a spring summer child. I think I've said that every time I've mentioned this bar. It's great. It's like a fresh outdoorsy body wash kind of scent. Although I feel like my struggle with it right now as I'm trying to pick through my club again, because we all do that, is that it's not quite as unique as I would like it to be compared to some of the other ones that I have in my club. So I don't know if it will stay in my club, but I really do like the scent. Send me some bars if you have extra. I'll buy them off of you. All right, then I got through Berry Blessed. This is from our Holiday Wax 3-pack. And I'm not a fan of this scent. It's berries. There's like a citrusy note to this for me. Or like some tart berry note in here that doesn't quite do it for me. But it's definitely berry. It lasts all day. There's no performance issues with it. It's just not my particular type of berry fruity scent. But I know a lot of people really enjoy it. So you enjoy it and I will enjoy other scents. I got through a bar very quickly of Ivy and Water Lily. This is a retired scent. It was in our clearance section for a while. It just smells like a fancy soap. And I think the day that I warmed this, I actually went through, I think, 5 different bars of wax because I just couldn't get a scent to agree with my nose that day. It was like I was trying all different ones, and then I was finally like, I'm just going to put a soapy scent in the house to kind of clear everything else out, and I was annoyed with it after an hour. I don't mind the scent. It just smells like a fancy hotel soap. All right. Then I got through a bar of Amber Hollow, which is coming back for our December Bring Back My Bar. And I gotta say, there's a lot going on in this fragrance-wise. And you got the amber, and I think there's cedar, and there's like spices, and then all sorts of other things. And I'll be very honest with you, it kind of smells like someone is cooking like a curry or Middle Eastern dish in your house. It doesn't smell bad. Like I thought, like, you know, it's a love or hate scent everyone is saying. I like some of the scent notes. Does it come across as how they portray it to come across? I don't think so personally. But it reminds me of like a very like Middle Eastern Mediterranean like cooking extravaganza where it's just like heavy spices, and then you've got like that sort of mustiness in the house. That's kind of what it reminds me of. So Amber Hollow, I don't know if it reminds me of a hollow or amber, but it definitely gives me like Middle Eastern vibes, and like it reminds me a lot of like my dad used to cook things. He's Middle Eastern. Would like cook these really like spice heavy dishes, and it just kind of gives me that impression. So I don't mind it. I don't know that I would go out of my way to get it personally, but it did evoke some pretty good memories, so I was cool with it. Let's move on, because we got a lot of little testers to go through that I want to get through. So I have the Villains collection. I warmed through this. Starting with Ursula, Poor Unfortunate Souls. This is probably my favorite one of the 3, and this is kind of like a fruitier version of Harbor's Edge. So if you smelled that scent, which is kind of like an aquatic sort of scent with like a hint of raspberry leaf or bush or something that was supposed to be in it, and like fresh aquaticness, this is like that, but with tons more raspberry in it. It also kind of reminds me of like a blue raspberry, like snow cone sort of when it warms, depending on like where it is in its scent throw journey. A little bit too like almost sweet candy note for me at times, but out of the 3, this is probably the one that if I were to put any of these in my club, this one would be the one. Unfortunately, I decided, well, it's not unfortunate, none of these were particularly in my wheelhouse, but they all performed pretty well. Like they were all strong, like you didn't have issues with scent throw. So that's Poor Unfortunate Souls. The next one, second favorite, I guess, would be Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. This is I butchered the scent notes when I was describing these in the haul. This is supposed to have like plum in it and like plumeria or something and whatever else. This, now that I know that there's plum in it, I smell more plum note, but it still gives me like artificial grape soda or grape candy notes on top of the plum. As far as the plumeria floral, I don't think I get any floral out of this, honestly. But you do get like the plummy grape sort of note. And I don't think it's grape specifically in the scent notes, but whatever the berry they picked was kind of comes across as grape alongside the plum. So a little bit too candy scented for me, but definitely fruity berry. If you like that sort of scent profile, you will probably really enjoy that. And then the last one, Evil Queen, Just One Bite. This is supposed to be apples, molasses, and cinnamon, if I remember correctly. And all I got from this was like cinnamon. Like, did not get apple. I don't even think I really got molasses when it was warming. All I got was like cinnamon, and it was borderline red hot cinnamon. Not quite as like in your face as our cinnamon bear or whatever it's called scent. But it's definitely, it was just cinnamon heavy. Like, and I couldn't do it. It was just like too much. So that was a little bit disappointing. I kind of would have really liked to get more of a molasses and apple note to this rather than just gobs of cinnamon, but I guess it was not in the cards. So I will not be biting that apple like Snow White, that's for sure. All right, so now I got a bunch of testers. We're gonna go through these pretty quick. I'm not going to pull out the scent notes. I'm just gonna kind of give you a quick wash because I don't wanna take too much time with them. At some point, maybe I'll do a video that's more on like picks before we get out of the season. But let's dive right in. So Iced Pine, this to me is like, you get a little bit of that minty note or icy, pepperminty, whatever mint is in here. And you get like the pine note. But you also kind of get, when it's warm, there's almost like a cologne masculine tone to this scent. I really like it. It's not nostril burning or anything like that on either side, green or ice or minty. Yeah, it's just a really nice wintry green scent. So I like this one. That's Ice Pine. There's the other tester of Ice Pine. Evergreen and Grapefruit. This is another green tree scent. We'll just try to do the tree scents together. This is like a lighter green tree, and because the grapefruit fruitiness kind of gives it like a juicy dewiness to the green tree. It's still a tree note, like you'll get your evergreen. But again, not super pungent. That juicy sweetness from the grapefruit doesn't really necessarily come across as grapefruit to me. Like I wouldn't have been able to pick out that part, but it gives like a dewy, juicy note. So this is another really interesting and nice green scent. Christmas Cactus. We're on the Christmas tree stuff. This is really interesting. This is sweet green, almost spa-like. If you like something like sea salt and avocado, where it's almost like a fresh sort of vibe going on there, you might really like Christmas Cactus. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I had no expectations, and they were all blown out of the park. It's a very different scent. So if you want something that's quite different from your traditional green Christmas, try this one. Almost has like a sweet, nectary kind of vibe to it. All right. Then, do I have any other ones that were kind of green tree? Sort of. Okay. Moving on. Snowberry. This is a favorite of many, including Miss Lisa Roweberry, who is super awesome. And I really like this. I don't know if I love it. I've gone back and forth many times on this scent. You get a berry note. It's like a wintry berry sort of vibe. There's kind of like almost a woody undertone to this. A little bit of like an earth and woody note. I like it. I'm not sure that it's a must-have in my wheelhouse, but I do enjoy this scent, and it performs really well. So I recommend it to at least try. Then, let's see, we have Winterberry Apple Tea. And it's a sweet tea sort of scent. You get the apple note, you get a berry note. It's not overwhelmingly in your face, but it gives a nice, not quite cider sort of note, because tea is not cider. Yeah, it was very nice. It's a nice, almost semi-neutral sort of scent, in my opinion. So if you're someone who doesn't really like a heavy bakery or sweet, fruity, you want something a little bit more mellow, it's a nice winter, fall sort of home fragrance. It could probably also be year-round, honestly. It's pretty neutral in that sense. So that one was good. I wasn't a big fan of the next one, Blood Orange Spice. It's I don't even know how to describe it, but you get the orange, but there's like a biting note to it, and I don't think it's the spice specifically, but it's like orange peel to me rather than necessarily like a juicy citrusy orange. It's like those simmering spice pots like you do on your stove or something, like to make your house smell, or like with cloves and everything else. This just wasn't for me. But it does perform quite well. So if you are into the blood orange sort of spicy notes, or like simmering pot spices or stuff like that, that would be something to try. Candied Cranberry Pecan. So this is it starts out as a sweet cranberry that you get the cranberry note first, and you're like, oh, cool. And then you get like the candied pecan note. And then for me, that's where it gets too sweet and a little cloying. But if you like those sweeter sort of scents where it's berry, but with a little hint of nut, but then like the sweet sugary glaze that you'd get on a candied pecan, this would be a scent for you to try. Just a little too sweet for me personally, but not pungent or anything like that by any means. Moving right along, we have apple and cinnamon sticks. I won't sit here and waste your time. It's apples and cinnamon sticks. And it smells just like what you'd expect. And so I can't complain about that. I'm not a huge cinnamon person, but I don't mind the scent. It's pretty decently balanced. And you do almost get a little bit more of a plume of fruity apple note rather than just heavy cinnamon. All right, cider mill. So this is apples and pumpkins and cider spices or something. So I have a weird relationship with this scent. In the dish soap and counter clean bundle, this smells like apples and pumpkins with like maybe a hint of spice, like apples and pumpkins. When I warm this, and I've warmed this now a couple times in both tester and bar form, every time I warm this, I just get spices, like cider spices, and maybe a hint of pumpkin, maybe a little apple in the background. Like for whatever reason, every time I warm this, it's the exact opposite of what I want it to be. So for that reason, I'm not a fan of the scent, but I love it in the counter clean and dish soap or whatever the bundle was supposed to be, because it actually smells like apples and pumpkins to me. So that's kind of disappointing, because I wish the wax would do that, but I have not had good luck with it. Cedar cider, however, is one that I really like. And you do get the cider note still, the cider spices. It's not as heavy on that, but you do get fresh sort of cedar notes. And I love the smell of cedar. This is a great scent. If you like cedar, try this. It is just lovely, and it performs really well. All right, let's go through these last ones really quick. We have Cranberry Garland. So we have several cranberry scents in our catalog. We'll go through them really quick. Cranberry Garland is like the woody version of cranberry. So if you want like cranberries and like woods and almost kind of a holiday vibe to it, but like wooded base tones, this is the cranberry for you. This is not just pure cranberry, it's a deeper berry. I wouldn't say it's super tart, but it's also not super sweet. It's just like a mellow red berry. And then you get the wood note to it. And it's almost like wood / a hint of tree note. I don't remember what the actual scent notes are in it, but it's nice. It's really nice. It performs really well. And it's a deeper sort of cranberry-based scent. Then you have, oh, did I not pull it out? There it is. Very Merry Cranberry. This one is like a tart cranberry. This is just cranberry. Yeah, And it's not, at least in my performance of it, it's not super strong. It's like a medium sort of throw. It's there, but it's not in your face, and sometimes it's not noticeable that it's there. But it's just a tart cranberry. And for that matter, if you just want something that's just a berry, this is probably the one to go for. We do have another one that I don't have here because I already know I like it, but Snow-Kissed Cranberry is like the sweet, zingy, with some extra like balsam and something else in there. That's more of a sweeter cranberry, and it's more of a crisp, fresh sort of vibe. This is like your standard traditional, just cranberries, and then Cranberry Garland is your like woody cranberry scent. All right, those are all pretty good though. And then finally we have like Be Merry over here, which is another sort of berry-based scent. It's like there's definitely like a more tart cranberry or holly berries or something in here. But this is what I imagine like a Christmas wonderland could smell like, where it's berry-based Christmas, as opposed to just tree-based Christmas. So this is like a nice blend of like a green sort of note, a woody sort of note, but also like that fruity upper berry tartness. I really like this. I was surprised. But this one is definitely more, reminds me of like holiday, Christmas, fall, winter time, more than maybe like Very Merry Cranberry, where it's just a berry. All right, last little bits. We have Maple Apple Bourbon, really quick. This is, as the name suggests, maple and apple and bourbon. And you get more of a bourbon note to this, or a bourbon vibe. It's not overly boozy, but you get that bourbon spice kind of to it. And you do pick up on the maple. I don't really get quite as much apple, but it's kind of like a juiciness that it provides more than necessarily it's like fresh apples out of the oven or something. At least in my experience, I get more of like the bourbon and then maple with like a juicy zest of apple. That makes sense. Finally, we have Perfect Peppermint. This is also coming, or is in a cleaning bundle. I really like this. This is like a peppermint candy, hard candy basically, but it's fresher than that. It's not, you don't get like the sweet weirdness of like the hard candy. It's just like a fresh, nice peppermint to me. And I like it, and it's not overwhelmingly in your face, but it's there, and it just makes everything feel clean and fresh. And I'm not usually a huge mint person by itself. Usually I like mint with something, but I actually really enjoyed this. What is not in our catalog, I don't believe, but I wasn't as fond of, was Peppermint Rush. This is another older peppermint scent we had. This one smells like peppermint toothpaste to me. Like the other one smells like fresh peppermint. This smells like toothpaste. Like literally a bottle of toothpaste. Yeah, straight up toothpaste. I think it's like an old Colgate toothpaste that I used to use once upon a time. And finally, I'm Snow Over It. This is an interesting scent. It's clean and fresh. There's a minty note to this to me, or an icy note. It's not really specifically mint. It's more like a sweet mint. You get like that icy, fresh, clean. I think there's cedar and sage in this, I want to say. I don't know. It's a hard to describe scent, but I really liked it. I would definitely suggest trying this because it's one of those ones where I feel like it's kind of unique on its own sense, where some of these other ones are very like peppermint or cranberry or tree. This one has such an interesting, complex sort of scent to it that I really just enjoyed. Let me see, because I have this catalog here. Yeah, sage, pine, cedarwood, and bright berries. You know, it's one of those weird scents where you read that and you're like, oh, that's going to be super not fresh. It's just going to be a woody mess. No, this is like light and fresh and crisp. Like I understand why it's in the fresh category. And this will be going in my club. So that's what I did with all the Scentsy stuff. There's a whole lot of things going on this week in terms of warming, and I hopefully will calm it down just a little bit. But I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or comments or feedback on the scents, if you've tried them, please feel free to do them. I try to read all the comments below and respond. I do my best at least. But I always love hearing from you guys. So hopefully this was helpful. I hope you're having a safe and wonderful week, and I will see you in our next video. Take care, guys. Bye.